Hey guys, my name is Chris Fitzgerald, and believe it or not, I used to be a teacher at Kimberly Area School District, which I know a lot of you are going to be watching this as part of your 5th and 6th grade, or maybe 6th grade career classes that you're having with Mrs. Dietzler and any other guidance counselors or any at-home guidance counselors that really want to be able to help their kids out during this time of quarantine. Welcome to my TED Talk, even though for rights and I don't want to get in trouble with any copyright law. This is not an official TED Talk. But anyway, again, my name is Chris Fitzgerald, and what I do right now is I'm the manager of a volleyball website where we write articles, we do a lot of social media, and we put on volleyball events such as club volleyball events across the Midwest. So that's my career, as crazy as it sounds, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I got there. So for those of you who are 10, 11, 12 years old, you're probably thinking like, why am I worrying about a career right now? Well, the things that you do ultimately will lead to your career, whether you're 10, whether you're 20, and even if you're 30, you might still be finding that career, that perfect dream job for you. But I would just say, as an 11 and 12-year-old, make sure that you are getting involved. Make sure that you are putting yourself in situations where you're learning, that you're finding out what you're good at, maybe what you're not good at. And I think that's really important to finding like your passion and what you want to do for the rest of your life. So for me, I love sports, everything about sports. Like I read programs in the back of a car on the way to state tournaments that we would go and watch as a family. I would be watching sports all day long. So being a professional athlete might not have been in the cards, but at the same time, like working with sports is really important to me. The same thing was always being able to help people. Like I always thought I was good at being able to show somebody how to do something else. So as I began to try and figure out what should I major in college, what should I go for, like what's my career going to be, I knew I wanted something where I'm going to be with a lot of people because I'm very social. I like to talk to people. I like to talk to a lot of different people. So sitting at like a desk and not talking to a lot of people and just being away from people would probably be hard for me. So I was going to go into communications, which that is one of your career clusters, or education. So I went to a school where I could play baseball, and I could also get a degree in education or communications. So Waldorf University in Forest City, Iowa, which had good baseball program, and it had really good programs in communications and education. So I knew I could get out of there 4 years at a relatively good cost, getting good grades, and having activities to go with it definitely helps out when it comes to finding scholarships and being able to go to college at an affordable price. And once I got to college and I started in communications, I knew that I wanted to be a sports information director and be the one who's writing articles about, pro teams or college teams and reporting out and running their website. And back then there was no social media. There was no, ways of reporting out like there is today. So I was ultimately training for a job that I have now that didn't even exist. And that's what you're probably doing too. Your dream job and your career might not even exist today, but at the same time, there's still things that you can do to make sure that you're putting yourself in a good situation to get there. So after I found out the hours and the pay that went into being a sports information director, I knew I'd be giving up a lot of holidays. I knew I'd be giving up a lot of weekends. I knew I would be having a very busy lifestyle, which was fun to think like, oh, cool, traveling, but at the same time, like not knowing if I was going to get to spend time with my family was kind of hard. So I went into teaching, education, because I was a coach of a Little League baseball team, and after that, I'm like, I'm going to be a teacher. That's my calling, because I know I want to be able to help people, and that's something I'm going to be good at, and it's something that I'm going to enjoy because of the people who are around me. So I got my teaching degree, and I taught for 4 years in Iowa, 6th and 8th grade science, and then I got a job at Kimberly, which I loved. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the school. I had a great boss. Everything just worked really, really well. So why am I not a teacher anymore? I'm sure you're probably like, well, if you liked it so much, why did you why did you leave? And I'm sure a lot of my coworkers would say that too. Well, I was also really involved with volleyball. So I was coaching volleyball. I did a lot of recruiting videos. So I would help high school kids, help them get recruited to try and play in college. And so with that, I really loved the videos, the social media, talking to high school and club coaches and college coaches, which kind of just led me to start kind of looking a little bit of like, what more can I do with volleyball? And then Prep Dig actually found me. I was an assistant coach, kind of a practice coach at St. Norbert College in De Pere, and they sent out a big email asking for writers of who could be able to write for this site called Prep Dig, which Prep Dig is a site where we cover athletes of 15 to 18 years old. We cover them for high school, we cover them for club, we even cover summer camps. We have a lot of social media pages devoted to writing about these athletes and their teams, and it kind of helps them get recruited to play in college. So we love to write about athletes who are going to small schools that are local to big schools that are, on the coast. We talk to a lot of college coaches, to high school coaches, to club coaches, and everything in between. Like, we are here to grow the game of volleyball and be a voice for some of these athletes. So I started writing part-time for Prep Dig Wisconsin, and I loved it. I mean, I would just do this on the side on the weekends while I would teach during the week, and then I would go on the weekends and watch volleyball and post on Twitter what was going on, post on Facebook what was going on, write articles, and before you know it, things were going really, really well. So Prep Dig offered me to work full-time for them. And that was when a really big decision came into play as far as, do I stay teaching or do I work for this website that I've been doing some part-time work for? And I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the teachers I worked with, talked to my family, the friends, because this decision would obviously impact my life, but it would also impact the relationships that I have too. But all of them were really supportive and said, take it. Because you're always going to wonder, like, what if? You're always going to wonder, like, if this is it going to work? Is it not? I mean, I didn't know. So I took it. And I moved to Minneapolis. And I'll be honest with you, the move to Minneapolis was really hard. I am just not a big city person. Like, I grew up in a small town. I like the quietness. I like the no traffic. So working for Prep Dig was great, but at the same time, like, I was just not a big fan of the city. So luckily with this job, I am now working remotely, and I'm living back in the Green Bay area, which I absolutely love. So when it comes to choosing a career, you got to factor in the city that you're going to potentially work in, because not all jobs are in small towns. And again, the job that you want might not be in a big town. Like, if you really want to be a veterinarian working with cows and pigs and big animals, living in the middle of Chicago probably isn't the place for you. So again, factoring in what kind of life you want. Between teaching and the job that I have right now, what is really important to me is the relationships that I have. I love to talk to people. I love to help people. In teaching, I was obviously helping students get better, not only in their academics, but I felt like I was a mentor to them. And in this job right now, I feel like I'm one of the people who are helping athletes potentially find what their next step is in terms of going to college. I feel like I'm helping college coaches find athletes who would be really good fits at their program. So again, I'm accomplishing what I want to do, which is helping people achieve their goals. And that's kind of my passion, and that is my why. That's what I want to do. So again, I don't want to make this like super long, but that's just a little bit of my story. So as far as different skills that you would need, you got to be able to, no matter what, be able to read and write. I wasn't the greatest reader, and I even had a former teacher tell me, I didn't really peg you to be a writer, which my job is a lot of writing. And honestly, I didn't think about that for myself, but it was something that I knew, like, you have to be able to read, you have to be able to write, and more importantly, you have to be able to problem solve, which is what you're going to get in math, what you're going to get in science, what you're going to get in reading, and what you're going to have in all subjects. Also, another important thing is, I don't know if it's necessarily a skill, but you want to be well-rounded. So by that, be involved in music, be involved in sports, be involved in different groups that you have at school, because that way you're going to work with a lot of different people. You're going to have a lot of different coaches and teachers that are going to help you along the way. And I think that's a really positive thing for you to have as you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Another thing would be really flexible. If you're really set on like, I want to be a vet, I want to work with animals. If you're struggling in your math or science classes, maybe you can still work with animals, but it might be in a different way. Maybe you could be someone who's promoting the education of animals at a zoo. Maybe it's someone who's working in graphic design with animals and being able to show what they're doing at a zoo or what you can do to help. So again, I think being flexible and having an open mind about what you want to do with your career, along with blending that with what you're good at, because you want to feel success. Having a job where you're not feeling like you're very good at it or you're very successful, I mean, nobody wants that. So I think being able to, again, find your passion, what do you like to do, finding out what you're good at, and being flexible with what you could do, I think will be a really easy thing for you to do right now as a 5th or 6th grader. Or maybe some of you are sophomore, juniors, seniors in high school or college, and you're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Don't worry, there's still people out there who are trying to figure it out. So again, take a risk. Don't be afraid to take on a challenge. Again, don't be afraid of change. I know I took a really big risk. Most of it worked out. The moving part did not. But if I didn't take that risk, then I wouldn't have known. So again, I hope I was able to help out your teachers, your guidance counselors can follow up with you on any of these conversations. I'm happy to help you out. I'm very active on social media. That's another thing. You want to make sure if you're doing any social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you're being really smart and really clean with your decisions, because that can have a huge impact on what you're doing later in life. So, or even what you're doing next week. But my email is chris@prepdig.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. I'd be happy to help any parents out if you're looking for things to help with your kids while they're studying at home. And until then, thanks for listening. Hopefully you listened. I won't take any questions right now. This isn't a live session, but I'd be happy to help you out from here on out. So good luck during this time. I know it's weird. I know it's crazy, but hang in there. Things will get hopefully back to normal, and we'll see you again. Hopefully, you never know.